Welcome back to Coach Talk. You have LJ and Dave here. Hi LJ.
Hi everyone, how are you? I'm so excited to be here today.
We have a huge day ahead of us and we have special guests today which is just going to rock our world, and I think it's going to be a great podcast. What do you think?
Absolutely, and I know that it will rock your world as well. Sitting in front of us, we have two of the most amazing people I think I've met so far, and we've met some pretty great people. We were just having a conversation with, would you like to do the introducing?
Yeah, so this
That
is something really close to my heart because, as you know, I come from a boxing background, so I have in front of me the wonderful Marissa Williamson Pohlman, and she has been selected and qualified to attend the Paris 2024 Olympics as a boxer, and her coach, which is Kel Bryant, who Kel and I go a long way back. So I want to thank you guys for letting us talk to you today, because it's we know you've got a busy schedule, and sitting here in front of a world-class coach and also a world-class boxer, it's very humbling. And I just say, guys, thank you very much for having us along. It's fantastic to be here.
Yeah,
pleasure.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So grateful for your time today, and I know that our listeners are going to find some gold nuggets in both your journeys. And the conversation, you were telling me, Marissa, that it's a rare treat to have Kel sitting beside you in an interview, so this is going to be really a wonderful journey for all of us. First time.
So Kel does all the talking when you're not about.
No, I do all the talking. He says I can talk a glass eye to sleep.
That sounds like you, Kel. This is going to be epic. It's going to be great. Can you tell us, Marissa, with boxing, how did you get, I know it's a standing question and people ask you this all the time, how did you get into boxing and how long ago was this?
This is a mixed question.
Yeah.
It's sort of a two-part. So I was trying to get back into a school because I wanted to graduate there with my friends. So I was a foster kid. So I went to 5 different high schools. I had 16 placements, 5 years. I was trying to get back into my previous high school to graduate with my friends, and we had a new principal. And he basically said, well, I don't want a violent person in my school because I used to fight so much. And I said, what have I got to do to let me back in the school? So fair dinkum, he made me sign a behavioural contract, and he was just this crazy footy fanatic. So he had a friend who was a coach at Geelong Falcons Football Club. Went down there, trialled, made the Victorian team, and then I just fell in love with bumping people off on the football field, and that sort of just manifested into walking into a boxing gym one day in the western suburbs of Melbourne, which was sort of like Collingwood. It was like a non-for-profit for at-risk youth. So, and then I don't know, something about punching someone in the face felt so good. So I never looked back.
Your rawness and your honesty, that in how you speak, it sounds just like LJ and I. We are very much raw and honest. We just call it how we say it. And I think you need to join us, become kind of part of the Coach Talk team, because I just love the answers that you give. It's straight down the line, and that's what boxers do, LJ.
Absolutely.
It's great to hear. So that's fantastic. How did you end up joining up with Kel and having that relationship as coach and boxer? How did that work?
It's sort of like a weird sort of story, because we were sort of weirdly, there's only 3 degrees of separation. We kind of were always sort of weirdly connected to each other, but never had met before. So my first coach, he was working at an army barracks, the same one Kel worked at the time before he retired from the military, and he sort of was inspired to start this boxing gym in the western suburbs, a non-for-profit. So then I started there, and I went to a second gym, but that was it was a kickboxing gym. Ended up just having a bad sort of connotation associated with the gym because I was homeless, living above it during COVID. So my coach, the second coach, really adored, he sort of was like, well, here's a couple of names I think you should go look at. There was 3 names I had on the list. The first one was Kel Bryant. I knew of him before because that was when Chase and Malia and Chrissy Harris were sort of in their prime in the amateurs, and they've been household names. So I was like, okay. And first person on the list, caught a 3-hour train to Collingwood, and called up the other 2 coaches that night and was found the one. So
yeah,
now here we are.
Fantastic. Now, we are sitting in your training space, which is really nice to be a part of. And one thing that I noticed when I walked in was the 10 commandments for sporting athletes and also for the parents. Kel, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I got the 10 commandments for fighters, first of all, and I was probably here about 5 years before I actually stumbled across putting them up. And I sat down there one day and I thought, gee whiz, how can I make the induction into the club a little bit smoother, a little bit easier? So I thought of 10 glaring things that I had to address as a coach and make sure there were rules that had to be adhered to in the club. And I thought very carefully about the 10 most important things, and that's what you see over there on the wall now, which are the 10 commandments for boxers. And there's another one behind me, which is the 10 commandments for parents. And not only have I had, some pretty scallywags for boxers and that, so I've had some scallywags for parents as well. And I thought, gee whiz, if I can do it for boxers, why can't I do it for their parents? So I sat down and I thought about how should a parent behave, and that's the list behind me up there on the wall right now. And the parents read that after I take the new inductees through their 10 commandments. I take the parents through theirs as well.
That's fantastic. And what a beautiful way to create a community that's based on accountability, something that we know is a bit sadly lacking in our community at the moment. But your space, everybody comes in a level playing field. If you can do the youth commandments, or you're a parent, you know exactly where you stand. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, and such a tribute to you and the passion you have for the sport, and more importantly for the people that you work with, the kids.
Yeah, thank you.
So I have to ask you, Marissa, because we were talking off air just before, how did you go with the 10 commandments?
I'm pretty sure when I first arrived, I was pretty much lacking in every single one of them. But I feel like the beautiful thing about boxing is that it teaches you something, it teaches you a lot outside of the actual sport that people really find a hard time trying to pinpoint what exactly that is, but teaches you discipline, self-respect, good time management, respecting other people, respecting yourself. So I still got a temper, but most of the other things, I think Collingwood definitely saved my life, and very
Wow,
grateful.
that's a big call. That's a really big call.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned a little bit about the temper side of things. I would have thought that, from my understanding of the emotion of a temper, it's just misplaced energy. So Cal, how do you harness that in somebody that comes with
A lot of
that
emotional
level of
baggage.
well, I was going to say that level of emotion, but maybe not the vocabulary to express the emotion correctly, and it comes out in a form. How do you work with the youth that come through that door?
Well, going back to Marissa, the first time I saw the perfect example of her temper, I had her at the fights, and she was actually doing a mock sort of fight. What do you call it?
Exhibition.
An exhibition fight. And she was boxing a girl, and her father was yelling out from the outside of the ring. So Marissa, after the first round, on her way back to the corner, bypassed the corner, ended up nearly out over the top rope, yelling at her father. And so I thought, oh my God, what have I got here? So anyway, I dragged her back down, sat her down. And then I suppose from that time on, we just started working on her temper, I suppose. And she's let it go a couple of times in the club, normally against men, other boxers and that, who may have hit her too hard, or maybe even got the better of it, and she didn't like it, and she bit back sort of thing. But it's very rare.
We're human. Our life is not just the sport we play. We're a person first. So how's that sort of translated for you? Are you happy to share that?
Yeah. Well, not only now, do I have a really fantastic, wonderful home life, but I've somehow become a role model for young people in my community, and working in various roles in government and advising on cultural heritage issues and Aboriginal affairs and traditional owner rights engagement. And I never would have been able to do that really before, just because I was just, I just, maybe, yeah, like you said about like the emotions, like not really knowing where to place them. I guess when you've like gone through a lot of trauma as a child, like you're not really, don't really know how to sort of regulate yourself. So I think having the opportunity to channel that through sport has been, yeah, life-changing for me.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for answering.
Yeah, it's great questions there. Just for our listeners, because we're out and about and we're in the public, we're near a train station, so you do hear the train go past and the mobile phone's ringing and things, so that's just life and that's what happens. So yeah, there's no problem with that, but you might hear some noises in the background. Marissa, your journey from when you started boxing to now, where you are classified as an elite athlete, can you give me just a very basic chronological description of where you've travelled? So when you started boxing to when you won your first state titles, to what did you have to do and what did you have to win tournament-wise to get to being selected for Paris 2024?
It sort of like stems a little bit before that.
Yep.
So I was a pretty good football player, and so I was the 2018 Under-16 AFL Sportsperson of the Year. And from there I won the 2019 NAIDOC Sportsperson. And I was trying to get into a football team, but at the same time I was trialling for a New Zealand boxing tour. And at the same time I got the letter for the football club and I got the New Zealand boxing tour. I'd never been overseas before. So from winning the 2019 NAIDOC Sportsperson of the Year award, all these black fellas basically crowdfunded for me to go over to New Zealand and box for the first time. And that was at Nabby's boxing gym in Hamilton. And then from there, I had 16 fights in my first year of boxing, won my state title after, I've had 4 fights in 4 weeks, so 3 fights and then the state title. So then won the youth nationals that year in Queensland. And then COVID sort of happened and it was like a weird period of like going through, you know, some adverse, was going through some homelessness and things like that, leaving the foster care system. And then sort of, I had a fight with my second coach and then COVID sort of happened, ended up being awarded the 2020 Australian Sporting Hall of Fame scholarship, and that sort of gave me my permit to train during COVID. So that's sort of, that kind of actually was a saving grace in its own sort of right, because that gave me the opportunity to box with Kel in the day, like just one-on-one. And like I think a lot of our relationship was formed during that time. Had a few fights together, and then we lost a few at the start, but then we started winning. So at the Com Games trials, we lost by split to Jess Messina, who was someone that I looked up to when I first started.
Yeah.
Later that year, fought Jess at the Nationals and bet her in the first fight of the Nationals, bet Nina Schuster. So that kind of put me on the map and got me a spot on the Australian team, touring all last year. I went to 8 different countries with the sport.
Nice.
And then obviously the lead up into the Nationals last year, it was a massive political sort of, there was lots of noise around Kay Scott coming down to 66. Will I defend that title, or will she beat me and take, have that spot at the Pacific Games? So I bet my first girl stopped her in 1 minute and 20 seconds, which never happens in amateur boxing. So that was just, even Cal, I went back to the corner, he was like, what just happened? I was just like, what's going on? And then I fought Kay and then won the Arthur Tunstall Award. The first woman to ever do that, which was a massive achievement.
Let's talk about that just for a second. The Arthur Tunstall Award is normally an award for the best male elite boxer in Australia, under Boxing Australia. So Marissa was awarded this last year, 2023. Mm-hmm. And Boxing Australia, in their wisdom, which is a great decision, they decided to change it where the award applied to everybody, which male and female. So Marissa is the first female recipient of the Arthur Tunstall Award in Australia for the best boxer in the country, and I think that is an outstanding effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so congratulations on that.
Trailblazer.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And when you now are at your level now, you have a great leadership role. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I'm very aware of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You have so many people looking up to you that are beginning their boxing journey. They might be established boxers and fighters. They're watching how you train. They watch how you perform. They take notice of your coach. You are now someone who's monitored all the time because of your success. How does it sit with you knowing that you are now, whether you wanted it or not, you have a leadership role within the sporting society because you are now an elite athlete in Australia and now you are an international athlete. How do you deal with that?
I sort of just take it how it comes, and like mistakes are obviously going to be made, but
Sure.
I think just sticking to my core values and staying true to who I am as a person, like beyond the sport, like I am who I am, and I have really strong personal values, and I carry myself like that.
I love it.
So
That's a great answer.
Great answer. And Kel, when you first teamed with Marissa, what was I'm told that there's always something that you notice that makes you go, okay, yes, I'll take that person on. Was there one thing for you that said, this young lady's got it?
Yeah, that goes back before I even met Marissa. I was at the Regia Calabria Club where the fights were being held, and I remember I was on the way out of the venue with another coach, and a young girl came rushing past me, and I sort of like stopped and looked, and it was a bit of a whirlwind sort of thing, the way she came rushing past me. I felt the breeze, and she stood at the door waiting to go in and have her fight. And I looked at her and I thought, gee, there's something about that girl. And she's about the same weight as some of my girls, you know. And I was there looking at her, and I couldn't work out if she was scared or she wasn't scared, or she just had this aura about her. So I stood there looking at her. The coach I was with said, come on, you're coming? And I said, you know what, I might just watch this young girl here. She's the same weight of your daughter, so I might see how she goes, you know. So I went back in and we sat down and we watched Marissa's fight. And what appeared to me, it appeared to be an unfair fight, because Marissa was in the corner with someone a lot heavier, a lot more experienced, and she had her coach in the corner, but then the coach in the other corner was from the same gym as her opponent. So I thought, well, what's going on here? Is there two people from one gym fighting? And anyway, I watched the fight, and the coach said, oh, come on, you're going? And I said, no, I just want to watch the whole fight. He wanted to go early, and I watched the whole fight, and Marissa lost. And I said, gee, I'd like to train that girl one day. And he said, why? She lost. I said, yeah, but there's something there. There is something. And it doesn't make sense for her fighting out of her weight and having two coaches from the opposing team's corner doing the coaching Marissa as well. And basically he said, oh, come on, let's go. So I walked out, never thought of it again. 2 weeks later, I got a phone call saying, look, we've got a girl that we can't find a coach for. She's homeless, and that, would you like to train her? Would you like to have a look at her? And I went, oh, here we go again. I said, yeah, all right, send her over. And at that stage, I was actually thinking about retiring, because it was, COVID was lurking about and all the rest of it. And I got a text message from Marissa saying, look, I'm coming in to see you. Still didn't click to who she was. Then when she walked in the door up those stairs there, I basically looked and went, oh, it's that girl. Oh, good. So we took off from there. So we go way back, basically, when I first noticed her.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Have you talked about that before? Have you often said your perspective of, I saw you fight and...
Yeah, it was like it was meant to be, basically. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
That's a really great story.
I have for the listeners, I have a small story in the background which leads to my question for you, Kel. And so Kel and I worked together way back in 2012. So we were 6 weeks out of London Olympics, and you and I were lucky enough to travel together through 5 countries. And this is with the then Olympic team that was going to London from Australia, and I was lucky enough to be team manager at the time, and I was also doing some refereeing as well over there. So we did a few countries, and I approached you and I said to you that I would like to lose a few pounds and lose a bit of weight. So you helped him with a bit of a diet, a little bit of exercise, things like that, and it was quite good. One thing that stands out for me, I remember, is when we did just 15, 20 minutes a day, whatever exercises we did. I'm struggling because it was just body resistance, but I'm not as fit as you. But you always would look at me quite calmly and say, don't give up. We'd be doing a wall sit, we'd be doing extended long push-ups up and down, we'd be doing calf raises, whatever it was, for 60 seconds or 80 seconds, 90 seconds, and you just look at me and you'd say, don't give up. That for me is those few words was so important for me, where I could see that you were leading by example, you were doing it yourself, and you were saying to me, don't give up. How does that portray to your boxers? And I've seen you've trained some fantastic fighters through the years, that national and international champions. Do you still have that philosophy where you say to your fighters, don't give up, and if they have a loss, and every boxer's going to have a loss, if they have a loss or something doesn't go their way in the gym or something doesn't go their way in their personal life, that don't give up philosophy, do you still stand by that today?
Yeah, look, I don't really look at the potential of a fighter. I look at the character that comes in.
Yeah, sure.
And I've seen it happen time and time again. If they keep coming in, after a period of time, it'll go their way. But they've just got to keep showing up day after day after day. And that's what I say to all my fighters. I said it to Marissa. And that's Marissa's biggest asset, is she keeps showing up. And in such a short period of time, with what I saw at the Reggio Club, when she come past me in a whirlwind, which I mentioned before, and that just took over. So I identified a special talent without even seeing her train or even talking to her.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to have her come my way.
That's a great answer, because we did a podcast just recently on how do you show up, and it's so important. It's an amazing thing. Absolutely every day, how do you show up and keep showing up, and it builds that resilience muscle, and what is unfamiliar becomes a habit and becomes familiar, and suddenly some people who show up here or there, they walk in the gym, I've got to do this again, where people that show up on a regular basis, it becomes the habit. They show up and they walk in and they know what they've got to do, they know their job, they know where they want to be, they've got their goals set, which obviously is indicative of you, Marissa, because look where you are.
I think it's rubbed off on me a little bit too, because this is a non-for-profit gym. Kel doesn't make money off of his fighters. It was like me having a bit of trust issues from, just being down and out for such a big, long period of my life. I was just like, what is this? What's going on here? And I always try and see if there's going to be, an issue or whatever sort of thing. But there was no ulterior motives coming to the gym, so I had like a natural instinct just to trust Kel. And because he's been rocking up here for the last 24 years, not making a cent, just doing it for the pure love and for young people, I wanted to do the same thing. All I've got to do is show up. It's pretty easy, if you ask me, considering he's been doing it for 3 years my senior, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Was that one of your biggest challenges? Like you've told us a little bit about your background, but having someone who was consistent and who led by example that you could, I guess, model off a little bit, was building that trust when it hadn't been there previously. Was that one of your biggest challenges?
Yes and no, but I think I had a goal at the start. That was my hip, by the way. Had a goal at this, I think it was the start of 2023 or 2022, but it was to have coffee with my coach every day.
Nice.
And that was sort of like accidentally, was just building really good rapport, trust outside of the sport. And I think my results in the ring was testament of that fact.
Yeah.
But just to add to what I was saying before about, Kel leading by example, like when I have to cut weight, last year I had to cut 4 kilos, so he cut 4 kilos.
Yeah.
Like if I'm here, he's here. For 2 whole years, when I was struggling, because I hate to run, struggling to get him to the track, he'd be at like 6 in the morning, freezing cold, stopwatch in hand, like 2 minutes, run faster, like at the end of the track. And like that's, yeah, my Olympic quota spot is just a testament of him and him showing up for me every day.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, because not many coaches will actually go to that depth to be in the journey with their people, so that it's like, I'll never ask you to do anything that I'm not prepared to do with you. That's a really beautiful quality, Kel, and clearly something that has resonated with Marissa. And because of that philosophy you have as a coach, and I'm tipping as a human, that's how you've had part of your success, because you are in the trenches.
What Marissa mentioned before about the coffee, I think that was a real good builder for both of us. We didn't only just speak about boxing, did we? It was everything, all her troubles, all my troubles. We sat there a good hour every time at McDonald's just up the road there. So that's what we did, didn't we? Yeah, and I think that was what made our what brought us together, basically, those times we spent having coffee.
Yeah, coffee fixes everything, doesn't it?
Yeah,
We are coffee nuts. We talk about coffee every podcast, so and maybe the occasional bit of chocolate, but coffee's us. It's most definitely. They say in boxing circles that the boxer is an extension of the coach, and I've seen it myself, where what the coach is like, the boxer is similar to the way that they are in the ring, the way that they are outside the ring. They become a second personality to the coach, and because they're so close to their coach, and they're trained by their coach. And do you feel the same sort of way? Like, I've seen boxers come through, Kel, and I've seen boxers that have, and credit to you, Kel, you produce quality boxers all the way through, and I see a very similar pattern with your boxers that are an extension of the way that you are as a person. Your humility is huge. You're very humble in what you do, but your skill set, your knowledge base, and the way you train people, you're patient, you're methodical, but you also expect a high standard. But I think I see a lot of flow and effect as well to your boxers. They have that humility. They have that eager to reach high standards, reach goals, and be the best that their ability will let them be. And you allow that in them as well. So do you feel that, Marissa, with what I just said? Do you feel the same thing?
Yeah, like there's always just like a common thing that gets, a common yarn is like boxing is an individual sport. It is, but it's a two-man game. Like, he knows me like the back of his hand and vice versa. And it's not just an extension of him, it's a two-way street. Like, I feel like we've both taught each other things. We've learnt things from each other. I have to have trust in what he tells me. He has to trust my ability to deliver the things that he's taught me how to do. So, yeah, boxing has just been it's just been such a beautiful part of my life. Yeah.
Fantastic, great relationship you two have. And so, what's next for you, Marissa? What have you got coming up?
Sorry, sigh.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm off to Germany next week for an international training camp. Then I'm back at the AES. Brazil's coming over for some competition bouts.
Sure.
Then I'm off to America for 3.5 weeks, back to Europe for a few weeks, and then Paris. It'll go so quick.
It'll go quick. It's ramping up now towards Paris. When is Paris Olympics?
July to August.
Okay.
Yeah.
How exciting.
Yeah.
How
great.
exciting.
Feels like yesterday I was watching Tokyo, so it's crazy.
Yeah, it's all coming up very
Yeah.
quick. Has it hit you that you are an Olympian? Like, do you
No.
look at yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, I am an Olympian?
Not really.
What do you tell yourself?
Get out of bed, go for a run, get a coffee. It's kind of just was like the trajectory that I was on, sort of thing. I feel like this is like, I've earned this, I've worked hard for this, so it's sort of like the trajectory that I was on. But I guess I wanted to be like everyone, I wanted to stay home over Christmas and the month of January, because for me, my roots, and like it just humbles me being back in Collingwood and getting humbled by, you know, Joe Blows that have had like not even 10 fights punching you up. So I just wanted to be back in the gym and improving and keep learning, and you know, just because I'm going to the Olympics and doesn't mean I know everything about the sport. I've got a lot to learn, and I think that's why I had a lot of success.
It's a great mindset, and I'm the same. Every time I walk in here to the Collingwood Youth Boxing Club, it has a great aura about it. It's got a great feel about it, and I think that's testament to you, Kel, for what you encourage and promote here, and it just has a great feel about the place. And meeting boxers like Marissa is just you've proven yourself again and again, and congratulations. It's a great effort.
I'm really curious, Kel, if I may, how do you, because boxing's not all about skill in the ring, a lot of it would be about mindset. Do you have any gold nuggets you'd like to share with our audience around mindset? Because obviously that is such a key component to getting your athletes to where they go.
You know, it's funny, I was over in Cuba with the Australian team getting ready for the Commonwealth Games, and we had quite a number of Australians over there, and I was lucky enough to work with the Cuban, one of their head coaches by the name of Zagara, and he had actually trained 58 world champions and 23 Olympic gold medalists. So he couldn't speak very much English, but I followed him around like a little puppy and that, just trying to get a snippet of, you know, what he knows and that. So he didn't really give much out, but I feel I just by watching him and watching him talk to fighters, and I thought, well, I got enough, but I might just ask him one more time. I said, Zagara, before I go, can you give me something to take back to Australia that could improve me as a coach and help my fighters? And he looked me right in the eyes and he said, yeah, keep your fighters happy.
Yeah, okay.
That was it, from the best of the best. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. In all walks of life, we do business work as well, but you can pay someone a lot of money and they will still leave their job if they're not happy.
Yeah.
And people that are very happy but don't get paid a lot, or like yourself, you don't actually earn anything from what you do here at the gym, you will stay and remain and keep going because you're happy in what you do, and it's a depth of your happiness. It's not just a surface level. There's a real deep happiness, and the same with you, Marissa. I guess you can see you're very happy. You love what you do. It shows. It just comes out of you.
Yeah, I think that deep level, like what you just said, like obviously not every single day is gonna be like, you know, I can't wait to go and train. Like obviously you're not gonna have all good days,
Sure.
but like deep inside you, like you just said, like your purpose and your whys, like, and how much happiness and fulfillment that gives you is like what keeps you showing up.
So
LJ, have they been to coaching school or something?
Maybe.
They're talking about their why. They're talking about all
No,
these
just buzzwords.
things.
Just buzzwords.
We do all of this in our coaching space, and
It sounds like what you've just said is that happiness is the vehicle that you choose to travel with. Mm-hmm. It's not the end result. It's not the destination. It's part of how you show up.
Well, when I wrote the goals down, it was never actual tangible outcomes that I wanted to achieve. I just wanted to get coffee with my coach.
That's beautiful.
yeah.
And I wouldn't train if I didn't have a coffee. That was point blank. Like, I'm not doing it. So
That's actually really funny.
I think she's part of Coach Talk already.
I think so.
It's coffee.
It is. It's coffee. So coffee runs the world.
Does.
So,
It runs the world. So we're going to move into now the serious part of our session. So we play with this. We have some questions for you, and they're really easy questions, and we'll ask both you guys these questions, just for our listeners. The only thing you cannot do is you can't pass.
Oh God.
So you have to answer the question. That's the only thing that you must do. Everything else is quite easy.
Uh-huh.
So this is the real serious bit of what we do here at Coach Talk. So are you ready?
He's real quick with it. He's real quick-witted, so hit him with
Kel
it.
is very quick with it.
Not a competition, is it?
No, not at all.
But I will ask you both the same question, so you can answer however you want to answer. But it's just something. It's playful, just figuring out just little things and seeing what you come up with, and the listeners love it, and I love it, and LJ loves it. So, are you ready? Are you ready to rock the boat?
Always.
Okay, Marissa, here's one for you first
Okay.
up. AC/DC or Justin Bieber?
AC/DC.
AC/DC.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
As if that was a question.
We love rock. We love rock.
If a man developed from monkeys, why do we still have monkeys?
What kind of question is that?
What
It's a-
kind of question is
It's a
that?
great question.
Their growth was stunted.
You're quick.
Some animals get left behind, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
They do. This one's for you, Marissa. Actually, you can both answer this one. Marissa, if you punch yourself in the face and it hurts, are you weak or strong?
Why not both?
You can be both.
Yeah.
Isn't that a great
Good
question?
answer.
For a boxer, yeah.
That's a great answer.
What do you think, Kel?
Well, I did have an answer, but now I'm going to copy Marissa, both.
What's your most hated mode of transportation?
My car.
You hate your car.
It's bad.
Okay, we won't go down that rabbit hole.
Just 2 engine lights wrong. It's my first car. 2 engine lights wrong. It's like sometimes I leave the keys in the car hoping that someone steals it because it is terrible. But
It's okay.
Maybe put a sign out, do not
For
take.
free.
No, do not take, and it'll be guaranteed to go.
I'll take the advice.
Kel?
Marissa's car.
I love it. I love it. Marissa, Superman, Spider-Man or Batman?
Oh, Wonder Woman.
Nah, Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Good one.
Like it.
Kel?
Superman.
Superman.
George Reeves.
Yeah. George Reeves. Wow,
That's way back.
that's way back in the 70s, 60s.
Yeah.
Good one.
Was he the original? Yeah.
He was. Yeah.
That says a lot.
He had a big jaw.
Yeah.
He did.
He had a big jaw.
Definitely on the roids. Definitely. Chewing a lot of gum or something.
Marissa, chocolate, yes or no?
Yes, obviously.
Kel?
Yes.
You should say us at a bakery.
I wasn't sure what you were going to say. I wasn't sure, but I love it. I love it. Marissa, when you know the battery is dead, why do you press the harder on the remote control?
I don't do that.
Good answer.
I don't even watch TV.
I do it. I keep pressing hard and I can't believe it wore out after 10 years.
Marissa, what have you forgotten today?
I've forgotten.
What have you forgotten today?
Forgotten?
Forgotten.
But you said forgotten today. God, I haven't washed my. Oh, followed my washing. Forgotten that. Forgotten? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kel?
What have I forgotten today? I've forgotten.
I had a feeling you were going to say that when I was coming into it. I thought, yeah, Marissa, you may not remember this one. Why can't the professor on Gilligan's Island fix a hole in a boat if he can construct a radio out of a coconut?
I was born in 2002.
Yeah.
I don't get the reference.
That's just a handball, that one. You just pass it over.
That's a good point,
Coach, what do you
actually.
think?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll have to think about. Can I get back to you on that one?
You can for the next podcast with you. Yeah, good question, hey? Marissa, why do you think a boxing ring is square?
When it's called a ring.
It's called a ring.
I don't know. I bet you it was a bloke that came up with that. A woman would never have called it that.
Okay.
Is there a real reason?
I don't know.
Apparently it's so you don't go to the corners. Is that right?
I don't know.
Is that right? So you don't go into the corner, so it's that way? You know?
Cal?
It goes back to the beginning of time. It used to be confined in a rope that was laid in a circle. But then they worked it out later on. It was much easier to have a square, but they still kept the name as a ring.
See, Cal
Ah.
knows. The coach knows.
New thing for the day. Thanks, Kel.
Nice one. Which came first, Marissa? The colour or the fruit when we're talking about oranges?
The colour.
The colour.
Yeah, the colour. Okay, last one. Marissa, do you agree that if you got into a taxi and the driver drove backwards, he then owes you money?
Not in this economy.
Can you repeat the question?
No. Do you agree that if you get into a taxi and the driver goes backwards, he owes you money?
No.
For the listeners, the look on Kel's face is priceless. I wish I could take a photo of that. That's it. That's our questions.
I've got one question for Marissa.
Go.
Okay.
Do you prefer the blue or the red corner?
Red.
Red.
I've had my most iconic wins in the red.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Kel,
a
do
good
you have
question.
a preference?
I heard a saying once that if you see the colour red, you become more violent. So I like blue
Yeah.
because they're looking at the colour red.
Blue's very you. You have, for our beautiful listeners, when you walk into this space, it's very calm, and Kel has this amazing calming presence that's just beautiful. So blue suits you.
Oh, thank you.
Hence the balance between both of you.
Matches his eyes.
Oh my goodness.
That's one coffee, I think, you owe Kel for that
She
one.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one final question for you, Marissa. When it comes to pizza, do you have pizza with or without pineapple?
Without a doubt. But shame on you for not having wood-fired pizza. I only have a traditional way.
Gotta have wood-fired pizza. That's fantastic. So pizza with pineapple. Very important.
Yes.
Thanks. Well, from LJ and I, and from everybody
Thank
at
you
Coach
so much.
Talk and all the listeners, we wish you all the very best, Marissa, at the Paris 2024 Olympics. We will be watching you from back here in Australia with a lot of pride and thinking that what you've done and what you have achieved stepping into the international stage is nothing short of amazing. Congratulations. What weight are you fighting at?
66.
66, yeah. So we wish you all the very best. I know that you've got great people around you and your support team is just magnificent. So best of luck. Go out there. I know you'll make us proud, and I know that you already are with your leadership and what you do here. And thank you for giving us your time. And same, Kel, with what you've done. It's amazing what you produce in your gym here. And we are so blessed, LJ and I, to be here and
Very
actually
much so.
talk to wonderful people that put our sport right up there on the international level.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're very humbled and very grateful for your time today, because we know that we've cut into your training time, so thank you. And more importantly, we look forward to seeing you make yourself proud.
Aw,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, guys. That's great.
You're more than welcome. LJ, where can we be found at Coach Talk?
We are on coachtalk.com.au, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, you name it. We're on all the platforms, so reach out. We would love you to put in any questions, keep going up with the feedback, and we really hope, and we know that you're going to get some gold nuggets out of this interview with Marissa and Kel, and we can't wait to be able to do a follow-up at some stage.
Absolutely.
Because we've just really enjoyed our time with you, and Kel, can't wait to actually sit down with you one-on-one and just have a little bit more in depth into this beautiful man that sits before us.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, thank
YouTube
you.
as well.
Yeah.
I'll put you up on. I'll put some photos up on our platforms. So I might even take a shot of the 10 Commandments.
If that's okay?
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
If
it's
you
all
don't mind
right.
us sharing, because
couple of
that
shots of
is
the chin.
brilliant.
Yeah, so it's just wonderful being here. So once again, thank you, and yeah, we'll be talking to you hopefully after the Olympics and see a bit of a debrief and how you went, and you can tell us how fantastic you were and how you won gold.
Thank you.
Can
All
I
the
just
very
ask
best.
one quick question to Kel? Is this it is a youth gym, but is this an open forum where, how do people get in contact with you if they're interested in coming to this space, or what's the best way that they could follow up?
The numbers on the wall at the front.
Great, we'll put that on the website
and
too.
it's, beg pardon?
We'll put that up for them as well.
And it's just word of mouth basically, but I'm really not taking too much more on at the moment, to be honest. So we're right at the back of a building. It's the oldest gym in Australia. I'm probably the oldest coach, so Marissa tells me. That's the oldest boxing ring over there, where Lionel Rose and Johnny Famechon actually did 6 rounds together. So yeah, it's just word of mouth. But we hide away at the back here. And,
Fantastic.
yeah.
So what would you like to see moving forward for this space? Because you've poured your heart and soul into this space and the sport. What can we as a community outside of the boxing arena do to help you and the people that you're working with? Because you are making a massive difference, not only to the people like Marissa who are going to the championship level, but I have an undertone understanding that this is a place for anybody who feels a bit lost and needs somewhere to be.
Yeah, with my time, I've got retirement dreams as well. So I'm 68 this year, so I'm always on the lookout for a person who will come in here and do what I did in this space. Beautiful. So and I've got a few. I've got my eyes on ex-fighters of mine and that, but it's a tough road for them because I've got a few who want to actually use the space and that, and I let them use the space, but I'm always standing over them, so like directing them and saying, don't do that, don't do that. So maybe it's my fault, I don't know, but I'm looking for someone.
Perfect,
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kel. Marissa, thank you so much. We really look forward to all your journey ahead. It's going to be amazing, and we hope that you actually take a moment to enjoy and actually reflect and just realise that you're an epic human and you're doing amazing things, and you have a really great ripple effect without even knowing it.
Thank you so
Did you
much.
leave your phone on?
Yeah, that's actually Kel's. He has
The Addams Family.
For those listening, he has the Addams Family theme song. Which is
Edit that, will you? Edit that.
On that note, goodbye guys.
I
Thank you
don't
so
think we'll
much.
be editing that. We'll just leave it in. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Kel, Marissa, and yeah, we'll see you around.
Yeah.
Thanks, LJ.
Thanks, Dave.
All
Always
the
a
best.
pleasure.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.